Hello, Loki is back again with you to talk about the COVID-19 statistics, my own personal take on them, my good old danger and normalized danger calculation. If you missed the first video, you can find it over there and see what is the deal with that. Today is March 25th, and this data is fresh off the press. It's as of today. And again, I've got my danger ratio, the total number of deaths divided by the number of recoveries. So that has not changed. However, the manner in which I normalized everything has changed. It came from a suggestion from one of you guys, from a viewer. Instead of multiplying the ratio by the total number of cases, how about we multiply it by the number of active cases only? That will give us a better idea of how bad the situation is right now, rather than overall. For instance. When we multiply by the total number of cases, China went way down. It plunged deep in the bowels of the chart, giving us the idea that the situation was bad. And it is bad. Well, rather, it's been bad. But China has so few active cases right now. Wouldn't it be fairer to use that figure instead, and therefore conclude that the situation isn't all that bad anymore? So I thought that was very interesting. So good suggestion. Thank you for that. And therefore, this column now is different. It's a different formula. So now we have this divided by this multiplied by this. And therefore, there's no point in comparing countries right now, today, to their position on the last chart. There's no point in saying, oh, look at this country. It is now in the 61st position. It went up or down 10 positions since last time, as if we're comparing songs on a chart. There's no point in doing that because we'd be comparing apples and oranges. It's just not the same calculation. So we won't really do that. We won't say this country went up or down. We'll just look at things as they stand right now, today. And how do they stand? Well, once again, we have a whole bunch of countries where we have no deaths on record. So, ratio of 0, normalized danger of 0, of course. And let's see, things start to get a little meaningful right here. Our good Diamond Princess ship, still a very low ratio. What is there to say? Where's China? There's China. So China now, by using this calculation, China is really not that bad. The ratio is still low. Multiplied by a relatively low number of active cases, it gives us a normalized figure that ranks it about midway through the list, which I feel is more representative, because yes, the danger seems to be mostly past over there. And there's my country, there's Canada. Something interesting has happened in Canada. The ratio has gone up rather a lot. I think it at least doubled since last time. Why is that? Well, we have a few more deaths on record, yeah, true, but the number of recoveries has changed. It has changed by going down. It used to be 320. Now it went down. What's up with that? People don't just get better and get worse again. Oh, yes, wait, they do. It's called a relapse. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe Canada was too quick to conclude that this person is cured, that person is cured. Maybe we've had some relapses, so this number has gone down, and that's why the ratio has gone up. And by multiplying by the number of active cases, which is almost the same as the number of total cases, therefore the normalized figure here has gone up. So Canada is not doing quite so well anymore. I'm not going to say that the numbers lied. I think maybe some people just spoke too fast. And that brings us to our good friends over here, Brazil, Denmark, and Netherlands, all the countries with a lot of deaths and very few recoveries. That maybe that is what's going on here. These countries truly are being conservative because they don't want to speak too fast. They don't want any relapses, as Canada has had. They don't want to give us a hugely exaggerated number, only to say, "Oh, whoops, we made a mistake. These people are sick, are still sick. Let's go back down." So maybe they want to make absolutely sure that these people are cured, and that's why the ratio is looking so bad. See, it went up. It went all the way up to 118 now. It's worse, but is it really? And that brings me to my conclusion. Should I keep doing this? Since we have countries here who are being so cautious about releasing recovery numbers, what's the point really in me doing this? I really wonder. These countries are really kind of skewing the data by waiting so long before releasing that data. But it doesn't change the fact that this is interesting. Italy, US, this is interesting. See, Italy really seems to be really stabilizing. The ratio is barely changing at all. Um, and since it has the number of active cases is much lower than the number of total cases, so by multiplying by this figure as we've done, the normalized number now is the reason why Italy is no longer number 3, is number 5 now by using this figure. So yeah, so that we can say, and we can also say that matters in the US are truly apocalyptic. I don't know what else to say. The ratio has gone up. It is now over 2. We have doubled the number of deaths over the number of recoveries. And the number of total cases keeps going up. Now the number of active cases is nearly the same. So that's not good. Therefore, my normalized figure is now over 120,000. And yes, that's scary. Speaking of comparing the number of active cases to the number of total cases, I found that this was also an interesting thing to do, and I've done that because that really gives us an idea of how much over the hump is a given country. Um, Sure, yes, we have something like China that has over 81,000 cases, but so few of those are still active. That really tells us that China seems to be past the worst. And I've done that. It's a simple percentage. Out of the total cases, how many are still active? It's a simple percentage, which I've done right here. And let's do that. Let's sort by this column, which I've called the virulence. Anyways, that thing. And there we go. China is by far the least virulent country right now. 5% only of its cases are still active. So if we can trust these numbers, and then again, can we trust these numbers? that's the big question. Then yeah, China really seems to be over the worst. And our cruise ship here is also doing quite nice. But then that's pretty much it. Everything else. There's a sharp increase after our 5, 16, and 38 figure. We have 50, 50, 60, and then a bunch of 70%, and the rest is well over 80 or 90. So nearly all the countries in the world are still really struggling. They're all in the midst of the crisis. Look at how many countries have over 90% of virulence cases still active, including there it is, including the U.S. 98% of all of its cases are still active. So yes, that is extremely scary. And let's take a look at Turkey. We said we would keep an eye on Turkey because it had no recoveries. Therefore, the ratio was, null and void. It not applicable. Division by 0. And yet the numbers were so similar to Brazil. So Brazil now has 47 and 2, and here's Turkey 44 and none. So again, extremely similar to Brazil. And yet, since it still has no recoveries, we can't tell. It has no ratio, but it's still it has a high percentage of virulence, a lot of active cases. So yes, so that's still a country worth talking about as much as Brazil, them being neighbors and all. That's a little test on your geography skills. And that's it. That's all I've got to say about that for now. So again, because so many countries are being quite slow about releasing their recovery data, I wonder what is really the point in looking at these figures anymore. But out of curiosity, I'm sure to do it again in at least in 2 or 3 days. Let's see what happens over maybe when we hit the weekend. So go ahead and let me know what you think, and stay healthy, stay safe, and Loki will see you later.